When was the church building officially opened?
This church was opened on the 8th of February of this year to coincide with the feast of our patron saint, Saint Josephine Bakhita.
What Catholic schools are connected to your parish?
The parish has 4 grade schools and 1 high school. Beginning from the south side of the parish, we have St. Bernard of Clairvaux, and then we have St. Faustina, we have St. Edith Stein, and St. Simon Stock. And for high school, we have St. Joan of Arc Catholic Secondary School.
What was the biggest challenge the parish faced in getting the building completed?
Well, you know, when you want to build a church of this size, obviously you need money to, to even start, planning for this church. And so there were a lot of fundraising, but we are very grateful because people are generally generous. But at the same time, we were also greatly helped by the Family of Faith, which the Archdiocese launched, which enabled us to be able to build sooner rather than later.
For around 10 years, the parish gathered at St. Joan of Arc Catholic Secondary School. Can you describe a fond memory you have of your time at the school?
Our parish was founded in July of 2008. And the first thing that I did was to approach the Dufferin Peel Catholic School Board to see if there is a possibility of being able to worship in one of the schools of the parish. And I was and St. Joan of Arc Catholic Secondary School was recommended to us. And so we started worshiping there in the 3rd week of July of that year 2008, and we were there until the beginning of this year 2018. So it's about 10 years of worshiping in your school. I'm just grateful, to the school board for allowing us, to worship at that school. The school community was very welcoming. I didn't even want to move out of that school.
How would you describe the mood of the church during the first Mass on February 8th?
The community was really, the excitement was really building, and so on the night of February the 8th, despite the cold temperature outside, people were waiting there and really looking forward for the doors to be finally plunged open so that they can come into this church. The emotions, the joy, and the excitement that the people had when finally this church was opened for them to be able to, to pray and to worship the Lord.
Can you tell us a little about the more significant objects and features of the building?
It was, it was suggested that we should not only have a church, just one octagonal shape, but we should have 3 octagonal shapes, and for many reasons, really, among which is that it reminds us of the Transfiguration story. If you recall in your gospel stories, Jesus was transfigured on Mount Tabor, and then there was Elijah, there was Moses, and the disciples said to Jesus, "Oh, how wonderful it is to be here. Let us build 3 tents, one for you, one for Moses, one for Elijah." And so this 3 octagonal shape would certainly point to that story. The second thing is that when you look at the church from above, from the sky, and you look down, it looks like a flower, and Saint Josephine Bakhita is often described as the flower of Sudan. And we're very fortunate actually that behind the church is a protected woodlot. And so when we designed this church, we did not only want to see a church with a garden, but rather to have a garden with a church. And why octagonal? Well, because octagonal represents a lot of things too. One is the Beatitudes. There are 8 Beatitudes. Even the choice of the altar table is a square as compared to, let's say, a rectangular shape altar. Because again, a square table would remind you of your table at home. When most families would have a square table for their dining table.
Do you have any parting words for the trustees and administrators of our school board?
Well, on behalf of our parish community, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you to this Dufferin Field Catholic School Board, to the trustees, to the staff of St. Joan of Arc Catholic Secondary School, to the custodians, who have done so much for our community. We would not have been able to form community without that assistance. And so, as I've said at the beginning of this interview, that we're really grateful for that for that relationship that have been fostered through the years, and the generosity that has been extended to us. In all these things would not have been possible without that kind of support and that encouragement that came from the board and from the school community of St. Joan of Arc.